I'm Leslie Alejandro.
I'm Andrew or Bowser.
What's up, Andrew? I'm Kevin.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Kevin, Leslie, hey, really enjoyed your movie.
Thanks,
thank
man.
you.
We haven't had an opportunity to go check everything out just yet. We've been like,
I haven't either.
all day.
It was hilarious.
What are each of your films called?
So mine is The Tuckering. It's
Mhm.
about a serial killer who's too out of shape to catch anybody.
Say that again.
It's about a serial killer that what?
It's about a serial killer who's too out of shape to ever catch any of his prey.
Genius. Fucking genius.
I love it.
Ours is called Adult Night. It's about a
Right
couple
on.
who tries to spice up their life a little bit and tries to swing.
Gotcha.
And then I have a short doc called She's Having My Baby, and it's about surrogacy, two sides of surrogacy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My short's called Little Willy, and it's about a failed child actor who was in a horror film called Little Willy, and he has a mental breakdown at a horror convention.
Oh, wow.
In
Fun.
his mid-30s, yeah.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, we had directed Adult Night together.
Awesome.
So Leslie and I are a husband and wife team. We have a production company out here in Santa Monica, California.
Right.
And when we direct together, we go under the surname Los Alejandros.
Oh, cool.
But, you know, we also do stuff independently outside of each other. So, you know, hers was fortunate to
get into too. Thanks, Adam.
He's in it.
He's trying to figure it out.
He's in the tech zone. I'm in Highland
I
Park.
thought Date Night was really daring. And really
It's very specific, right? So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was great.
I can't wait to check out your guys' films. I definitely intend to.
Yeah.
We were just talking about tone before you jumped in, about how it's anything that's very specific in tone, it has to be found by the right festivals. I've found, because my thing has been not scary enough for some horror fests, but not funny enough for certain audiences.
Mm-hmm.
It takes like the right fest to kind of get things that are, you know, in a specific spot.
Ours is definitely having a hard time with
the same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, most of it, I think it's a little risque for some of the festivals.
Right.
But obviously because it has sexual manners, and then also if you've seen it, you know, our big reveal at the end, you know, it's probably not good for family.
Yeah, it's just a very specific kind of humor. I mean, we knew that going in, like, you either are into this kind of like sort of
comedy,
sort of heightened Judd Apatow kind of humor, or you're not.
Right.
You know, there's no real in between. And if it doesn't fit into your festival, like, you know, there were a couple that we thought we had a pretty good chance on, and the notes, like, they would send us specific private notes saying,
"Oh, well, that's
we couldn't find anything to fit your category."
Right.
But just to let you know, you were in for a certain amount of time, but we couldn't. It just didn't fit. It didn't fit into our program, into our our style of what we're looking for.
Yeah. Or if there's kind of certain themes that year, I find like, well, we're really focusing on these themes this year.
Yeah.
This would have been great 2 years ago when we were doing weird doll movies, but we're not doing those themes. That's what I find is I'm kind of often chasing whatever the specific theme is for these festivals. Yeah.
I feel like we didn't get the memo about the cool gels that we should be using in our background.
Man,
oh yeah.
I was like, you guys have like really cool ambiance there.
Don't sell yourself short.
Ours is lit too well right now.
No, that looks good. Nobody else has Pumpkinhead playing on VHS either.
I mean, come on.
That's a real problem.
Is that Chucky?
No, that's the doll. That's the doll from my short.
From your movie.
It's
amazing.
It is supposed to be, you know, a child's play, an approximation of child's play. It's as if this guy was in a child's play type of movie in the 80s.
Yeah.
But that's actually a real. Why can't I figure out what side of the screen to point on?
I know it's opposite.
Like camera left, camera. The doll is actually an old Hasbro doll, which was out in the 60s.
What was it called?
It was called That Kid.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Because from here it looks a little, what is it called? A Cabbage Patchish.
Totally.
That was my era.
For sure. Well, it feels like a mashup of like Cabbage Patch with My Buddy or
My
something.
buddy,
My Buddy.
yes.
Yeah. But I couldn't afford to actually have something made from scratch, so we just bought 2 of these off of eBay for the short.
Oh, I love it. I was just doing some research on a script that I'm writing, and I wanted to see what was like the fun 80s,
Commercials
commercials that were
advertisements.
the advertising that were playing. And oh my gosh, talk about going down memory lane. It was really fun to kind of,
to remember what was out there. Like, oh shit, I totally.
I know. I love putting on those like 13-minute long comps on YouTube, just like commercial compilations from the 80s. I'll just let them run.
They're kind of acid trippy.
Yeah.
When you look at it now, it's like, whoa.
They're super weird.
And where are you guys based out of?
I'm in Highland Park, so I'm not far. I'm in LA.
You're the smart one that knew Central was 2 hours ahead.
Well, I work with an editor who's based in San Antonio, so I'm always communicating with him. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
And I am actually in San Antonio.
You are. We're so sad that we aren't able to be there this year. We were there last year for the festival, and we just had such an amazing time. Hanging out with everybody there, and everybody was just so wonderful. And Kevin is originally from San Antonio. That's where he was born. He's pardon?
We'll be on.
Go Spurs.
I know. Oh, like he's not a big basketball boy though, but yes. I think he'll cheer anything Texas, so it doesn't.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I was talking to my son, who was like, "Dad, there's someone at the door." I'm like, "Don't fucking answer it."
It's our groceries.
Oh,
sorry. Let me call him back. You talk.
Answer the door. Answer the door.
Yeah. When I was in college, my roommate's his father was the chaplain for the San Antonio Spurs. So I have that 4-year window of being a San Antonio Spurs fan. And then after that, I didn't follow as much. Yeah. But I gotta tell you, I'm loving, like, my first like athletic hero was obviously, because of my age, it was Michael Jordan. So that's when when he was like inside. So I'm loving the whole Last Dance.
It's good.
Docuseries right now.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched it. I want to.
It's interesting, dude. It paints him in that light. It's funny. I'm also an actor. And I was on a show a while back called Southland, which is about Los Angeles police cops. And I did, one of my co-stars was as a woman, I'm sure you know her, her name is Regina King.
Yeah.
And we were talking one day about sports and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, one of my heroes was Michael Jordan, and she was like, then you don't know Michael Jordan.
Don't meet your heroes, right?
She's like, don't meet your heroes.
Don't meet your heroes.
And she kind of went off on like what kind of a personality was. And then this documentary that's out, and obviously it's his production company and pointing him in that same light, but those hints of the kind of person that she was introduced to.
Interesting.
Came out straight. Basically he was exactly what it says, is that he needed to win. He was a winner, and then that was the forefront of his mind. So he, at all costs, made sure that everyone that surrounded him had the same mentality. He was a ball buster, basically, of just like, I'm here to give 150%. You need to as well. And and I think that was
it wasn't about being friends. It was about winning.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he had his portion of his life. Obviously, he does to make those relationships. But when it's game time and trying to build, I think that's the part of Michael Jordan that she experienced, was like, blinders on. I have championships to win.
Yeah. Is the documentary pretty much show him in that light? I mean, does it show him to be like?
It does.
Yeah.
He approved it. Like, I think he produced it himself. Yeah. So he knows what people are saying about him. He knows how people think about him. I think he knew. The one thing about Michael Jordan too is I think that he's realistic about who he is, and not trying to pretend he was somebody that he was not.
There was no smoke and mirrors. It's like,
no, yeah.
And the documentary does a great job of doing that, and it separates each episode, and it highlights you know, they were a dream team at that point. So it highlights Scottie Pippen, it highlights Dennis Rodman when he came on, and each one has their own episodes, and it's really cool to see the influence that one person came in to sort of change a franchise. You know?
Yeah, I want to watch that for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't have any basketball heroes growing up. I grew up outside of DC. I guess we had some baseball. You know, I was a big Orioles fan, Cal Ripken Jr. for a while.
Heck yeah, man.
That was big for me. But then I got into hockey, and then my heroes were like DC hockey because that was kind of one of our only winning teams for a while. I think we had Manute Bol, though.
I remember Manute Bol.
Back in the day, yeah. When we were still called the Bullets, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
His son plays in the NBA now.
Oh, really? I don't know if I knew that.
His name is Bol.
Is it really?
Who's he play for?
You know, I don't remember, but
yeah.
He's like just over the last maybe year. I don't know if he's a rookie or second year player, but.
Where are you at, Rob?
San Antonio.
Oh, you're in San Antonio.
Oh, he missed it when he walked up.
Yeah, sorry. I was born in San Antonio. Lived there till I was like, I don't know, I want to say 6 or 7, maybe 8. Then moved out to West Texas, a little bit called Snyder, which is right between Lubbock and Abilene. And then I went to school at the University of Texas in Austin.
Oh, nice.
And then from there moved out here to LA.
I was a little south of that area, out of Big Bend, over the 4th of July weekend. I love it out there. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And is Mr. Pigmentos, what is that?
That is another one of my short films. It's about a guy whose imaginary friend shows up at his apartment while he's masturbating.
Background option.
Do you write all of your shorts?
Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, that's where I came from. I was a writer, you know, wanted to be a Hollywood screenwriter. That didn't really work out for me. Had a family. And so a couple of years ago, I just decided, you know, I can, you know, take what I write and make a, you know, movie out of it.
Well, that's in my opinion, man, that's the way to do it, you know, these days, is to write something you can do instead of having to wait the 8 years that it takes to get a project done. You know, if you can write to shoot, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Totally. So I think I'm probably about a dozen. I've done about a dozen short films.
Amazing.
Mostly do comedy stuff, but done a few dramas.
Right on, man.
Dan was actually the editor on the Tuckering.
Oh, cool.
Right on.
Awesome.
Terrific editor.
How's it going?
Today, you know, as we try to build our production company and move it forward into the, you know, the direction that we want it to go, and there's all these sort of unforeseen things. Like there's this idea of what we want and how we want it, but then the actual work that goes into it is a lot different, you know, to get to that point. And so, you know, like this sort of fantastical idea, this romantic idea I had of the company, I was like, oh yeah, but I forgot that one middle part of all the research and finding all the good quality stuff so that we can make those things, you know?
Of course, it came after I was like, have you read that book yet? Have you read this book yet? Did you read it? And he was like, why is so much reading? I read scripts for a living. Why don't you do too much reading? I know. And I don't read either. So it's been a lot for me as well. But, you know, it's like, this is the name of the game. What did we think we were going to do, you know?
Yeah, but well, you know, both of us were one of those that, you know, to sort of take a long way back to what you were saying is, we learn by doing, right?
Yeah.
So to me, my doing is like just going in and jumping in and seeing and you know, and weeding things out as I go along of what's not going to work, you know. But now that we're in this sort of grown up position, like this is Alejandro Films that we're sitting in. I can't just wholeheartedly go and just start picking things out. I've got to like really sort of lay some projects out and
we got to develop
and do the development
right.
work.
Writers.
So it's a
and
different.
It's a whole different
Yeah.
mindset than just us writing something that we want to shoot, and that's it. you
Yeah.
know?
And so that's what I love about this whole festival world. One of the things that I love about it is the opportunity. So this is a different world now that we're all on Zoom, but one of the favorite things that I did was going to particularly San Antonio. I met a lot of people through there, a lot of young up and coming directors and writers and actors, you know, that I still email, and we're still in contact, and people actually still send me some projects, you know, but that's what I loved about it. So now it's going to be interesting for us because our company launched as right before we went into pandemic. So now we're having to like understand how is it that I can call Andrew or Rob or Dan and be like, yo, I have a project, but I wouldn't know you the way I would if I were having a beer with you at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Or if I went to watch your movie together and be like, hey, now we're talking filmmaker to filmmaker. So this is an interesting sort of way to sort of figure out how this new business is going to actually work.
And I'd always found, even though I've lived in LA for about 13 years, I'd always found I actually got more networking and socializing done out of town at festivals. I'd come back to LA and have all of these connections from kind of being at these events where you're a little more isolated and there's something that immediately has connected each of you. You've seen the films, so you have icebreakers, you know how to start a conversation. And so I definitely miss that as well. And yeah, it's been interesting seeing this town go from, okay, let's wait it out and then see when we can film again, to, well, how do we film within these conditions? Because we can't stop, I guess. And it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. I still don't know the answer. I mean, I'm shooting, you know, whatever I can shoot in my house and on my street, but who knows if any of that's any good. But it'll be interesting to see what ideas come out of this situation for sure. Yeah.
I'm actually working on a project right now called Legion of Terror HR. And it's about a third-rate supervillain council and centers on the HR director. And it was all born out of the pandemic. So I was trying to figure out, like, okay, you know, what can I do? And got a couple of actors together. We shoot, you know, most of it in you know, a guy's house in one room. He set up kind of an office set, and then I've got a green screen, and I just have actors come in and do it in front of green screen, and then try to composite everything. And it's turned out pretty well, and it's gotten better and better. We're up to episode 7 now.
Wow.
But you know, it's been just a really interesting challenge to be like, okay, you know, what can I do with the, you know, resources I have and the limitations that are.
And at the same time, still keep yourself, your crew, your actors safe within it all. That's what's really been challenging for us. Kevin had shot a short film a few weeks ago with the head of VFX for his television show. So they actually used a lot of the crew from Lucifer, and what was meant to be a 10-minute short, they had to end up shooting in 4 days because, you know, they totally follow the protocols. Following protocols.
Wow.
By trade, I'm a photographer, and I was saying no to a lot of shoots, and I finally said yes to a shoot for Men's Health, and then I did another one for a campaign for an athletic wear, and same thing. It's like, you know, I had to have everybody sign off, you know, make sure that everybody was, you know, being 6 feet distance, but, you know, makeup and, I mean, everyone had to wear, and it was, as much as we were trying to follow it, you know, I've been working with this crew for 10 years. So, you know, you guys want to get close to each other, and you guys want to have some kind of like connection, and even with people that you don't know, that when you're on set, you know, you guys try and find a connect. It's just, it's so difficult. Like, it made me really sad. One of the biggest things that made me sad about this whole thing is that we've worked all these years to connect and just to be disconnected. And it's like, and it's sad. It's, you know, but it's just trying to figure out, right?
I know.
The little Willy short takes place at a horror convention, and the whole idea was that it was a proof of concept for a feature that all takes place at a horror convention. And that's the last place anybody wants to be, is a convention over the week. I mean, those places are already incubators for people who are sick and viruses. Everybody gets the con crud when they go to Comic-Con. So now I've worked,
oh my God.
I worked on this like unshootable feature because it takes place in one hotel with 500 people.
Right.
I mean,
It'll happen.
Yeah.
We have faith that it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. First of all, I think there's going to be some amazing art that's going to come out of this.
Yeah.
But also to see how the show that I'm on, it's a Netflix show, and we're scheduled to go back. I think the late September to go back, and I'll be directing the season premiere of this last season. But already I have to start thinking about how to block my scenes with the COVID 6-foot space.
Yeah.
So if she's my other actor, our intimate scenes, I have to stage it in such a way and figure out the lens so that it makes it look that we're closer than we actually are. You know,
what do you do about
a whole new
fight
challenge
scene?
that we
What do
had
you do about a fight scene? How do you do that?
I don't even know yet.
A friend of ours is on that show SWAT, and they started this week.
Oh,
he was like, no, and he didn't think that they were going to really go because they already pushed his production a month.
Yeah.
So he thought for sure his was going to get pushed, and it wasn't. He was on set like he was posting stuff. Oh, was it yesterday?
Yesterday was the first day.
And I'm just like, oh my God, what is
wow.
What, like huge high production. So,
Totally.
I don't know how they're going to do all of this stuff.
Yeah, it'll be.
They're figuring it out though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has anyone directed anything yet that's within this?
Well,
COVID?
That's what Rob he did.
Oh, you're already doing it. Right.
Well, so I am the only person on my crew, so it's pretty easy to work within the COVID parameters. So.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Now you're running sound and the camera.
Yeah, I've got the boom mic on a C-stand,
Right.
and running the camera, but it's always 2 or 3 characters. Like I actually play one of the characters, Desco, who's like the leader of the council. So it's a very simple, sort of set and shoot, which makes it possible for me to do it on my own. But
Yeah.
I really like, the fun thing about the experience is, writing the script and then filming it and then actually being able to act in it, which is not really my thing, but I have a mask on so I don't feel as self-conscious. And then editing it and doing the visual effects, like being able to do it all and really feel like, you own every aspect of it is unusual, right? Because usually film is very collaborative and you have to trust others to produce, what it is that you're trying to do.
We did a 1-minute challenge, and I think that we were gonna split up like right afterwards, and also like disown our child. So our 12-year-old had to hold the mic. I was running camera. He was acting in it. Our kid had to act in it. Our dog was,
doing Foley.
And that was, we spent, 10 hours on just the 3 of us trying to do this 1-minute scene. And we thought that we were going to all kill each other.
Our editor was like, the actual movie is in the voice record of just hearing you guys talk to each other. Like, you put on the sound. Are you sure? Did you do it? Are you sure? Come on. Don't know if that's not how you do it. Come on.
Say action.
Make a movie out of that.
Too soon. Why are you fidgeting? Why are you moving?
Really early on in the pandemic, I shot a short solo. I filmed it with holding the camera out in front of me and like a snore cam, and did all the coverage myself, and it was for a horror contest for make a pandemic short, which I wound up winning, which is cool.
Congratulations.
It was for Dread Central, but while I was out filming it, I wound up getting chased by someone in the park who was maybe a little out of sorts because I was dressed like someone in the post-apocalyptic world. It was kind of a John Carpenter futuristic little horror short. And every time I tell people the story, they're like, well, that's the movie, man. I was chased by this guy with a knife. And I'm dressed like this weird Mad Max character who's wearing a Mickey Mouse hat and has like a teddy bear strapped to him because the teddy bear is his only friend in the apocalypse. And I got chased, and a gas mask, and I was chased from the park all the way like back to my house.
Get that on film.
I was going to say, please tell me you use that footage.
Yeah, did you get him to sign a release?
Yeah, exactly. I have the very beginnings of it. I have the moment of me being like, oh, hey, man, like about to say, what's up? And then I was running.
Yay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That for a while kind of put an end to my like, let's shoot something during the pandemic escapades, but I'm back to trying to figure out something else to do.
I love it, man. Not only is it going to be great art, there's going to be some crazy stories too.
There will be.
How it came to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Our dog is reading up.
What else is everybody working on outside of the projects that are at the film festival currently? Are the and where are they kind of in their cycle? Are they?
1 second. Sorry.
That's all good.
Sorry.
Have these films played
So
many
I've
other
got
fests?
a story related to COVID-19.
Oh yeah.
So in mid-March, I was working on a movie with one of the actresses who's in the Tuckering, Blanca Gomez. And we had shot about 85% of a 20-minute short. And we had one scene, and it was the last scene and a pivotal scene that took place at a hospital. And I had been able to, secure a hospital location and had everything lined up. And then that was the week that everything shut down.
Oh,
and so 85% done, but can't finish it. I bet just recently I went back to the script and the footage, and I'm like trying to figure out, how could I do this differently, not do it at the hospital, because I just want to finish it. And I feel terrible for the cast and crew who want to see the finished product as much as I do. And I just haven't been able to figure out how to do it differently. So I'm hanging on, but Texas is not doing great, and we just don't know.
We're a little nervous for y'all over there, guys, especially because his sister is in Snyder, so it's a little bit more contained and smaller over there, but she's going through cancer treatments right now, so we're like, do not go anywhere because it's not doing great, When we actually drove out to Snyder maybe a couple months ago just to kind of help her out because she was going through her radiation treatments and she had the kids and whatnot. And we were staying at a hotel, and I met my first COVID denier.
Oh, wow.
It was, and he was, sitting there with his big, 30-gallon cowboy, 10-gallon.
30-gallon?
10-gallon cowboy hat, and he was with a bunch of his buddies, and I was in the lobby, and I was trying to get coffee, and I took a napkin to touch the, the spout, because I didn't touch it. And then, of course, right away, what are you scared of? I'm like, oh, man, here we go. And then I was, and I told him, and he literally said, oh, you're scared of the fake flu? And I looked at him and I just said, I come from LA where I know people that have not only suffered from it, but have died, have loved ones that died from it. And so I'm just trying to be careful. And then he just went on to be like, you can die when you trip and fall, and people die in accidents all the time. And I'm you guys have a good day. And I left. And that was a fight here.
Right.
Yeah. I know. I'm still in the zone of, I leave my house for a hike once a day that I keep my bandana up for and keep myself distant from anyone else that's on the hike. And I do it purposely in the middle of the day. So there's practically no one on the hike because they go before it's the hottest part of the day. And
Sure.
then grocery store every couple weeks, and that's it. I'm still, and I'm seeing people on my social media, even LA people that are like at brunch, and I'm like, what are you doing? Aren't we all seeing the same numbers?
We live in Santa Monica, and everybody's on the beach and walking around here like nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And we're all in windows. We're on the other side of like, oh my gosh, what is happening going on right now?
So, hey, Andrew, I'm curious as to what the inspiration was for Little.
Oh, for Little Willy? Well, it started because I was a child actor to a degree, not a successful one, but I grew up outside of DC doing a lot of regional theater and auditioned for a couple of like bigger films when I was a kid, and didn't book them, but still acted in college. And in college, I met the kid from Child's Play at an audition for a Pepsi commercial. And I talked to him in the elevator, and I said, hey, I'm a really big Child's Play fan. And I said, did you keep acting, since those movies? And he said, well, no, I had to take a break because, it just got too hot. And I was like, yeah, wow. And it both made me laugh because I didn't know exactly what he meant, but it probably did for a kid that was in a trilogy of a successful horror franchise. But so I always had that little anecdote in my mind. And then as I grew up, I started working for a lot of digital companies out here, kind of nerdy places that I would make packages for, video packages at conventions. So I've been to, hundreds of horror conventions and Comic-Cons and alike, and just started piecing together a narrative about a kid actor that grew up and, has been chased by these feelings of failure because his career didn't go in the direction that he imagined. And there's something in there with myself being a kid actor. I really love horror. I love especially psychological horror and stuff that has a lot of, pathos to it and sadness. So I just started writing this as a web series at first and pitched it to where I used to work. I used to work at a place called Nerdist.
I love Nerdist. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, the podcast network and video channel on YouTube and all sorts of stuff.
Great.
And I pitched it there. I was there for like 6 years as their in-house director for comedy sketches and parody videos and stuff like that. And they passed on it because we didn't do many horror projects there. But then when I left that job, I had already bought these dolls because I constantly put the cart before the horse. If I have an idea, I buy a prop or I commission art or I get something. I mean, I've got
you're a man after my own heart, bud.
I've got a night costume for a short that I still haven't shot. And just to, you light the fire under yourself. So when I left that job, I'm sitting in my office staring at that doll, and I thought, well, I gotta make Little Willy. So I wrote it then as a short instead of a series. And luckily found a horror convention that was happening a few months later in Arizona that would let us film there. And I told myself, if I find a location, if I find a horror convention that'll say yes, we'll do it. We'll go like all in. And so once we found Mad Monster Party in Arizona as a collaborator for the location, then we kind of mobilized me and my little team, and we shot it there last year. Yeah.
And Andrew, is it still sort of is it a proof of concept now for a bigger project?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been writing the feature. I actually, on the set of the short, it stars, myself, and then Adrienne Barbeau from like The Fog and Escape from New York.
Yeah.
And on the set, she said, I know you said you want to write this as a feature. And I was like, yeah. And I hadn't yet. She said, well, I worked with a filmmaker who was exactly in this position. He was making a short because he wanted to make a feature, and he made the short, and people actually asked him for the feature, and he couldn't write the script. He just couldn't crack that nut. What does that concept look like stretched out? So that put a little bit of fear in me. So the second we wrapped, I started digging into the feature, and now I feel like I do have a draft that I'm really proud of. I mean, it's probably, draft 14 or 15, but the pandemic's given me time to just kind of keep digging in. And so, yeah, I've got the feature written, and that's still the idea is that get this short out there through festivals, and then maybe putting it online around Halloween and trying to get interest in the feature. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So cool.
And Rob, remind us what yours is about, and what was the inspiration behind yours?
So the Tuckering is about a serial killer who's too out of shape to catch anybody. And so I was having a discussion with somebody, and if I remember correctly, I think I, essentially made the statement that I would make a terrible serial killer because I'm not in the best of shape. And so that was sort of the genesis of it. And I've always liked that kind of absurdist comedy, like Mel Brooks and the Airplane movies and early Woody Allen. And so that's kind of where my mind gravitates towards in terms of comedies. And so I just wanted to do something that was like stupid funny. So that's what it is. So it's completely ridiculous, but it's the fart jokes and belching, and it's ridiculous, but it's funny.
But and I was saying loosely joking, but really, I mean, those kinds of comedies, anything that has sort of a heart of comedy in it is very important right now, considering what we're going through. So it's really cool, that you're actually able to share that right now, because I think a lot of people just need to sit back and laugh at something they wouldn't ordinarily laugh at,
Without a doubt.
And I think it's a similar kind of, I haven't seen it yet, but I promise you I will. It seems like it's very similar to the style of comedy that we put into our film Adult Night. It's, it's very much that sort of heightened sort of circumstance. It's the circumstance that makes it funny. And, there's a little bit of that kind of like, you're into poo humor or you're not.
Where did the idea for Adult Night come from initially?
So while we were living in Vancouver, Kevin was itching to direct and do something else, especially because he had just gotten off of doing another short film that he had just directed. And he wanted it to be simple, kind of like what you were talking about, Rob. You kind of want to write with what you can do. And so he was thinking, what
to shoot.
Yeah. What if we did something just in the bathroom, just two characters, something pretty simple. And Leslie Ann Brandt, who plays opposite of him in Adult Night, also is on his show, Lucifer as well. And so he reached out to a friend of his and just said, hey, write me, gave him the scenario.
It's like the brown bag improv. Like, okay, here's the scenario. Two people stuck in a bathroom, go.
And so Derek had written this, but he kind of wrote it like more of a half-hour sitcom.
At that point, a really good friend of mine, one of my first friends that I met when I was in LA, who's also a fantastic actor, is also a great writer. He was actually taking half-hour comedy writing classes at the time. And so that was
kind of the format that he used for this. So when we ended up, we thought it was funny. We thought it was a funny concept about this couple who was trying to get out of a swingers party that they both ended up at. So we thought it was a funny concept, but at the time we were like, it kind of needs work, and we just weren't able to do it. So then we moved back. The show got moved back to LA, which we were happy about because where we live. And finally, we asked for it back, and we asked him if we can kind of tweak it a little bit, because we wanted it to be a little bit more cinematic or more film-like and not like television.
But it came across again, because that itch, we all get it as filmmakers of like, I want to do something.
Yeah.
I want to do something. What do we have? What do we have? And it was like, I think there's this, from what I remember, it was a couple of years ago, but I think there's something that is very shootable.
And because Leslie Ann Brandt had just had a kid too, with her husband, so she definitely related to it. And then him and I, we've gone through that as well with, when we first had our son. We were able to kind of just really make it our own, and we did a lot of rehearsing. We actually shot that.
And Leslie Ann Brandt and I, we have really great chemistry when it comes to, we're super safe with each other. Like, we just feel like there's no one else that exists when we're in a scene. Like, we're just, we're safe with each other. So together, all of us put together the script that with you know, with permission of Derek, who was the initial writer, we all agreed on something that we liked, and then Leslie conducted. I think we rehearsed for maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah,
like
we did
straight every
really
day, like a play. We did it.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'd done a piece like this with the structure of doing a play, and that's how we did it.
And it was such a learning experience for me too, because I went into filmmaking. Like I said, I've been a photographer for almost 10 years, and I went into filmmaking thinking I wanted to do documentary, which I did, which I still do as well. But I scripted content and directing something scripted was a little bit new for me. I had shot a micro short that actually was at San Antonio last year called Smile. So this was something a little bit longer where, you know, with more acting, and that was something that I really wanted to practice with, was learning how to direct actors. And I had like the best crash course with both, you know, Kevin and Leslie Ann, because they're phenomenal actors. But it was something, the first time that we wanted to do something together, which we kind of realized our strengths as well, because I'm very visual, so I know a lot about lighting, I know a lot about lenses, I know a lot about you know, those kinds of ideas. But then with the help of Kevin and, you know, kind of, you know, camera movements and acting, and, you know, like directing acting.
I always like to say that together we make one badass director.
Right. That's good.
So it was cool, and it was great to kind of, you could see our signatures in it too. I love, and that's why I was like, I'm impressed. I love your guys' backgrounds, because I love shooting with gels. I love filming with gels. My Smile, I used a lot of gels, and so being able to kind of bounce off of the neon signs that we had in this location, which was incredible. We were able to kind of use these gels, and then I also shot the posters. So I love gels. So that was kind of for me to do too.
My daughter was like, are you trying to flex on those other directors? I was like, no, but if I sit over at my desk, it's going to be all dark and I'll look terrible.
Yeah.
I love that she said flex.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, she was roasting.
I mean, if there's anyone that can make you feel the least cool, it is definitely your children.
So hey, Andrew, Dan, so you edited, right?
Yeah, I edited Tuckering.
So, do you and Rob have a long-standing relationship? Are you guys like the team?
How long have we known each other, Rob? 2-3 days?
Close to 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're actually part of a film club called the Alamo Film Group that started about 2 years ago, and it's designed to kind of encourage people to make their movies, and our motto is "Make Your Movie." And so, you know, it's all varying skill levels, and so, you know, we just try to get out there and make movies. And, you know, for me, like, it's completely a hobby. I don't really have any ambitions to make it in the industry. I've been fortunate enough to have like a decent job, and I can fund my hobby. And so that's what I do. And, you know, I try to get as many people as I can involved. Dan does work in, I guess, video production, but, you know, for the Tuckering, like, you know, it's a hobby thing for him as well. And yeah, we just, you know, try to make the best stuff that we can, and bring along a few people for the ride, and, you know, teach them something about filmmaking, and have fun. Like, that's it. Have fun making movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely. If you forget you're having fun, you're not doing it right.
Exactly. Yeah. We literally started out as a meetup group that was helmed by just one of our members, because he was he had a little bit of experience in film, and he just wanted to see if anybody out here in San Antonio wanted to join him. And it was a lot of people that had zero experience that joined. They just had the interest, and then it evolved into basically what Rob was describing. So, I mean, you know, we probably had, I don't know, half a dozen shorts under our belt in that time. So
yeah, we did a 48-hour film project about, it was a story about a guy who gets turned into a puppet, and it made it into the Austin Film Festival, and then another short called The Last Taco, directed by a guy named Mike Fowler. Dan, I think you worked on that as well. About 3 guys who fight over the last taco in the break room, and it kind of turns into a spaghetti western. Made it into the Austin Micro Short Festival. So
Great.
yeah, cool little group, and trying to make things happen in the San Antonio scene, and just get out there and make movies.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other festivals coming up that for your run?
For the Tuckering, it's in the Oregon Scream Week Festival, and then also in the Austin Comedy Festival.
Oh, great. Great. What about you, Andrew?
I think the only other one right now is Seattle Crypticon, which is another horror festival.
Yeah.
I think that's in I don't know if it's a few weeks or maybe a month from now, but that's the next one. Yeah.
Right.
What about for adult night?
Yeah, we have Puerto Rico coming up. The
Wow.
Festival coming up.
And then we in LA Asian Pacific.
LA Asian Pacific.
Nice.
Yeah, we're real excited about.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, we were saying earlier, part of what we do, part of one of the great things about what we do with the independent film world is the networking part when we're actually to see each other in person. So this is a whole new way to do it. It feels pretty intimate. And I hope that after this, we're Alejandro Films. That you guys will reach out to us if you have anything cool, and if there's anything that you want to, that we feel that collaborations could be in the future. That's why we do it, right? Is for me, anyways. I can speak on behalf of myself, and I think of my wife and my business partner. We like to make movies with people we love, and we like to create a family of filmmakers. And that's
why we like working with Adam too.
That's why we like working with Adam. Exactly. And that's how it is. And like I said earlier, people are still emailing us from last year's festival, and from other festivals that we've met.
Adam has been amazing with sending us content from people that he believes in as well. It's just
and that's what this is all about. And Adam, you run an amazing festival with good people, and thank you for being willing to open yourself up in your conversations and your introductions to people, so that we can continue to build a franchise of filmmakers that want to do what we do.
Yeah. My plan right after this is to watch each of your shorts and the other shorts too. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Would love to hear what you think.
Yeah. Awesome.
Same.
You going to say the line, Adam? Say the line. Come on.
I was like, what are you talking about? I'm having flashbacks. People in my short kind of harass him by making him I also do like a weird internet character whose name is Weird Satanist Guy. And people have come up to me and told me to say his quotes.
Okay.
And I don't know why, because I should be just happy about that, but I also get a little tinge of like, well, all right, well, I'm also a director, I want to be these other things. So I put that in the short, that these guys come up to Adam, the actor, and make him say the line from his 80s movie.
I love it. That reminds me a little bit of Galaxy Quest, which I'm
yes, exactly.
I love say the line. It's like
exactly. It's exactly. I mean, that's probably what
it is a little bit of there in
oh yeah.
I just watched a great documentary about Galaxy Quest, and that's one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Oh, yes. I love that one. We just watched it. We went on a little trip to Palm Springs, and we brought our little projector with us, with just us and our son, and we threw that on and watched that outside. And so much fun.
Yep. I look forward to seeing y'all's films.
Awesome. Yeah. Same here.
Yeah. I saw yours, both yours. It was great. It was perfect.
Yeah, I did as well, and like genuinely really enjoyed them, and was very proud to be part of that block of films.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I gotta say, I loved all of them. That's why you're in the festival. And I gotta say this also, that Cedric, he's not on this call, but you know, he's the one that put the films together, the blocks of films, and titled them. So he did a lot of work. I mean, he's worked for us for 6 years.
Cedric's awesome.
And he does, I mean, he goes to other festivals around the world, or, you know, around the U.S. And it meets a lot of the filmmakers. And I think that's why we have a lot of success with like truly independent filmmakers, because of Cedric. So he's, you know, shout out to him, even though he's not here on the call.
Yes, we love him. He's just such a beautiful soul. You
and a great filmmaker.
Yes.
Himself, yeah.
So we had somebody join us, Cece. Looks like she might be on mute, but
yeah.
I know she wanted to ask a question.
Hi, Cece. Do you have a question? You can type it on the screen too, I think.
Yeah, there's a little chat.
Still in our meeting.
Oh, sorry.
All right, I'm calling you back.
All right, I'm gonna come into the office.
Okay. All right. Bye. No question? There we go.
Someone's in the chat.
With me.
Oh, that was no question.
So, hey, Andrew, what was the most difficult? What was the biggest challenge you had making your film?
The biggest challenge, even though I just said I was very thankful to get access to the location, the biggest challenge was the location, because we chose to shoot at an active horror convention, which, you know, we knew going into it would be difficult. And again, I had shot at conventions for so long. I felt comfortable shooting in them. I've even shot some narrative projects at conventions before, like short sketches or music videos for Nerdist, etc. But that was the hardest thing, just because there wasn't as much communication between, I mean, this is a little inside baseball, but the people that had given us access versus the people that were the employees on the ground. Right. You know, there was always like a little bit of a disconnect. I mean, everybody knew there'd be a film production there, but I don't think they knew the size of our footprint exactly, even though we were, I mean, skeleton crew, but still, for something so packed out, you know, even 5 people standing around and some lights and a boom pole is enough to be a disruption.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest challenge, was just, I don't think a lot of our crew had shot in that kind of environment, and they were very easily distracted, just thrown. You're used to kind of getting in the zone when you're filming and everybody quieting down, and only the people that need to talk. And you were not going to get that, you know, with every scene, someone's yelling, hey, you know, in the background. Somebody thinks it's funny to get in front of the camera. So
did you have did you have to do a lot of ADR?
No, surprisingly not, I mean, God bless my sound technician. I told him at the top of this, I said, I really don't want to have to do ADR. There's only about 3 scenes that take place like on the convention floor or at the character's booth. And I told him, I was like, you tell me if like you almost had a clean take. Because if it's, you know, if it's kind of ambient enough, he had confidence that we could mix it down and we'd be okay. But yeah, if there was some guy making a loud remark as he passed by our spot, I wanted him to tell me to do it again, because I wanted to get it as clean as we could from the production sound. And we actually did. I don't think we had to ADR at all, which was surprising. And my sound designer and mixer was like, dude, your sound guy deserves, not that there's any money in this movie, but deserves a raise or a bonus of some kind. Yeah.
But how did you deal with what is it called? Not just access, waivers for the people in the background.
Oh, well, so that was actually something that convention helped us with greatly. They kind of built it into anyone coming onto the premises is in essence agreeing to be filmed. And a lot of times that happens for the convention's purposes. Like you may be on camera for Mad Monster LLC, but they included Little Willy LLC in that agreement with the hotel, with the location itself. For
was
them.
that a
Awesome.
big, was that did they make you pay to film there as well?
No, they actually allowed us to film. There were some minor fees, I think, when we needed like a special escort or somebody to stay late in a spot, but it was mostly a trade. It was mostly a trade to feature the Mad Monster signage, and there are certain people involved with that company that are credited as producers, and it was more about just letting it be known it was filmed at Mad Monster instead of hiding it. You know, if you didn't have access, we had to feature some signage and let it be known that that's where we filmed.
You did it. That's great.
Yeah, and it really was. I mean, it was an anomaly. I that's why I knew we had to move on it, because I had tried to get access to Texas Frightmare in Dallas, and a festival out here called Monster Palooza in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And just nobody was biting. They didn't want a film crew, especially doing something narrative where we'd be doing it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So
when you would reach out and they would deny or, you know, turn it down, was that something that they would just email you back, or was that something they just you never heard from them ever again?
Some of them, it became a conversation. With Texas Frightmare, we actually got into a pretty deep conversation because I think they were interested in maybe even being a part of producing a film. And we got pretty far along with them, and I don't know what the concerns were, but eventually there was some concern, and it might have even been with their contract with Marriott, you know, or whatever. It might be that their venue was a larger corporate entity, whereas Mad Monster, I think it was a privately owned resort, I think, in Arizona. And then some other festivals like Monster Palooza, they just know, they were like, nah. They got back to me right away. They were like, we don't say yes to film crews, bottom line. You know, I think they said something like, we didn't even let Elvira's documentary film here, or something like that.
That thing.
Look at that.
Yeah. So it was difficult, but yeah, with all of my concerns, I was surprised nothing did go wrong. And actually we got a lot of, you know, I was able to cast on the spot of like, hey, we need a party scene. Can you 3 goths come with us tonight? And, you know, tell my PA, like, go find me 2 more goths, and, you know, kind of.
Amazing.
See, that's what I love about filmmaking, man. When you can do it that way.
Yeah.
Want to join the team? Come on.
Totally.
Yeah.
That happened a lot that weekend. Yeah.
And how long was your shoot?
I think we started, we shot some on the Friday night of the convention, and then we shot Saturday, Sunday, pretty full days. And then Monday was like another kind of half day in the hotel. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, with 2 of the days being kind of half days. Yeah.
Right on.
They were exhausting for sure.
But you got it done, and that's what makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm. I felt like driving home from Arizona, I felt like I'd robbed a bank. You're like, couldn't have gotten away with that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. What about you, Rob? What was your biggest challenge?
You know, it was probably filming at night because I had never done that before. And so, you know, most of it, we rented a private campground. I found this site called Hip Camp, where people just have private property that you can, you know, rent out to camp. And so I talked to the guy. He was willing to let us come on. And but, you know, working out there, working in the dark, you know, I tried to be prepared. Lots of flashlights, you know. We had the lights that we needed, but it was just something that I had never done before. And so kind of figuring out how to light all those scenes, make it look like moonlight, you know, create, you know, campfire, because the first scene is in a campfire. Yeah, that was the interesting challenge. And then I think Dan solved a lot of it for me because he did such a great job with the edit. But when you do comedy, like, you can get kind of lost in it, and at a certain point, it's just like you're asking yourself, is this really funny? You know, it doesn't work. Like, I've lost all, you know, objectivity about whether it's funny anymore.
Especially if it's 3 a.m, if it's the middle of the night. Yeah.
Dark. I mean, nothing when I'm actually shooting. Nothing seems funny, when that process is happening.
And did you shoot it yourself, Dan? I mean, Dan, Rob?
No. I had Chris Martin was our director of photography. So we had a small crew, probably 6-8 people on the crew. But yeah, I think keep having faith in the work and believing that it truly is funny. That's you've got to have that and just
that initial instinct and love for it has to ring true.
Yeah,
that's the one thing you hang on to after you've done it so many times. You're like, it was funny when I was in it, so you just got to trust that that's where that it's going to continue to move in that direction.
Yeah, the good thing was I was
very go ahead, Dan.
No, I was just gonna say I wasn't on set at all, which helped because I'm on sets, half our shoots. And so when I saw all the footage from Rob's rough cut that he gave me, it's like was basically giving it, oh bless you, basically seeing it with fresh eyes, so that way I could, tell him, that joke's not funny.
That probably helps in comedy, editing comedy.
None of this works.
Yeah.
That didn't land. Sorry. Love it. I think one of the biggest challenges I remember facing on the day. We shot one day, right?
One day.
We shot one day, one full 8-hour day. Was it about 8 hours?
No, we did a 12-hour.
Was it a night shoot or was it?
It was day into night. It was.
We did it. We had the space from noon to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Noon to midnight, and
we got, because of our rehearsals, and I actually rented the space the day before so that I could shot list with our DP, so that we knew that we could get in and out of it really well. So we had the blocking down that we had done separately at a different location.
We rehearsed at my co-star's house in her guest space.
But we had they let us come and take photos, so we actually knew what it was going to look like. So we kind of had an idea of how to block it.
We did it old school theater style, man. I love
and then
it.
afterward, then the day before the shoot, the four of us, him, Lezianne, me, and our DP, Nick Mahar, we went in and then we actually, I shot listed with Artemis on the phone. And so we were able to kind of know exactly how we were going to do it. We were there for maybe an hour. So then on the day of the shoot, we kind of jammed right through it, that we actually wrapped at 11. And so we were able to get everything out there by midnight, and we were out and we were done. So we were early.
Yeah, that's great.
It was perfect. And then so we felt like we were so well prepared, and everything was just, we got this. It's gonna run great. We get there. The night before, I was painting a door because the bathroom didn't have a door. So the couple is, for those who don't know yet, a couple is stuck in a bathroom, and on the outside of the bathroom is the bedroom where a bunch of shit is going on. Mm-hmm. So they close it, but the actual location that we had didn't have a door. So we and me, wearing every other hat that an independent filmmaker wears, forgot to measure the length and only measured the width. And was like, this has got to work. This has got to work. So I painted it and put everything together. We get to set the next day, and I got to tell you, it took 4.5 hours to get the door to fit because it was too long and we had no saws. And so I had to convince 2 of my friends to load the door up in the back of my truck and go to Home Depot to see if they can cut it for us. And they said they got there, and the guy was like, no, we can't. We don't cut doors here. That's impossible. And then my other friend spoke up, who happens to be English, with his accent. I was like, oh, no problem, mate. We'll figure it out. And he goes, oh wait, where are you from? And he's like, so they had a commonality of where he's from. And he's like, nice. Don't tell anybody. I'll cut it for you. So he cut the door.
Good luck.
He cut the door. They brought it back, and we got it attached.
That's wonderful.
That was a big technical problem.
Yeah.
Was that the day of the shoot or the day prior?
That was the day of the shoot.
Day of the shoot. Oh,
yeah, man. We actually I think we had started a few hours later than we were supposed to.
Yeah.
But because Leslie and I had rehearsed it so thoroughly, we got some legs after the door problem was solved.
That's amazing.
And we were able to film other things while they were, taking care of the door.
Yeah,
It was just
inserts and stuff.
It was
like
such a
that.
funny
Right.
scenario in general because there was the perfect bathroom, but there were two things missing that we needed that was written in the script, and it was the door and the toilet.
And the toilet. Oh yeah, we didn't have a toilet either, so we had to go buy a toilet because these rooms.
They were not working.
They're not working. They're essentially for like photo shoots.
So was it a set? Was it?
Yeah. They're fully set and designed. So this one guy owns like a top floor of this building and has different themed rooms, and mostly photographers or music videos. Those
And I
kinds of
knew
things.
of it because of being in the photo scene. So I knew that I had found this through Peerspace, which is what we use a lot for to look for locations. And I was like, oh my gosh, this place is perfect. We went there, and it wasn't a working bathroom. There was no running water, but it was designed to look like it was a bathroom. But we were like, we need so everything in there was our incredible sound designer Lucas Arbogast, who also created the flushes and the water running that did not exist, the day of the shoot.
That's great.
Yeah, good job on that set, because I was like, is there a room that exists that has these neon lights with a toilet?
I know. Well, it was very important to us that the bathroom be a character in its own.
Yes.
Right. And so when she found, we went through several of them. When we found this one, it was such its own character that we had to incorporate some of its environment into the dialogue. So the script had some subtle changes to it because of the space that we were in. We're like, well, we can't not mention this because it's fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. What about you? Did you have any? What was your biggest challenge? Do you think? Besides working with me.
I think my biggest challenge was, like I said, to kind of work on was using my voice. I know how to direct.
Because she usually just snaps.
No.
Right.
But I know how to direct still photography. My forte is celebrity editorial. And so I shoot a lot of talent for various magazines and whatnot. So I know what they need to hear that differentiates them from being directed by a film director and posing in front of a film camera, still camera, of course. So it's angles and whatnot. So to actually like get emotions out, like I said, I've been practicing trying to, direct more actors and whatnot. I knew when, I didn't want a certain angle visually. I'm a huge visual person. Visually, I knew what I wanted, but when it came to like needing another emotion or needing to cut it because, this and that, just using my voice. So I actually depended on my first AD, Jillian Mahar, who actually would sometimes call the cuts or like, kind of just, and I realized that was, she wanted to do it for me because she wanted to help me, of course, but at the same time, just being able to use my voice to what
that's a legitimate thing to say, because actors do have their own vocabulary, right? And and I've been very fortunate that acting has been the sort of dominant entity in my life and my first true love, and at that level. But I immediately respond to a director who knows
how to talk
the vocabulary. Who knows how to, and that's something that a lot of directors, I think, that's the reason why I think a lot of directors should take an acting class, to shadow it, to sit in the back, to audit it, to that kind of thing, just to see how, because, we're all sensitive beings as human beings anyways, but an actor is at a different level of that sort of sensitivity,
I realized too that your film is as good as your actors are as well, right? So that has been a very big, huge priority for me in this journey of being a director now. And I've taken, you know, I've actually taken, I joined a masterclass with like top actors. I mean, I watched amazing actors like doing these incredible scenes, you know, that we've seen everywhere. And I was very fortunate enough to be able to get in this class and be able to see, you know, see how the coach directs and gets these emotions out of the actors. But also it's kind of been my priority doing webinars, you know, through Sundance Collab. And I was really fortunate. I didn't get into the HBO directors program for HBO Access, but they asked me to join as three auditors from the US to actually be part of the program. So
that's cool.
But she's currently going through the HBO Access, getting the HBO director's education through HBO Access right now.
Yeah, I'm so lucky for it. And one of the biggest things that I appreciate is how the directors work with their actors. I think it's just such an important thing because I do live, like I keep mentioning, visually, and I know that that's not enough. You know, I need to know how to talk to and direct my actors to give them the story that I obviously see. So
you're both on the same page, and
yeah,
you can,
absolutely,
you know, kind of like what we're doing, feeding off of each other and like feeding the story is important between actor and director, you know. Just as it's important for director and director of photographer,
right?
Director of photographer and editor to all be on this. That triangle has to be super tight so that we're all telling the same thing, right?
Yeah, every department kind of has their own language. That's like one of the first things I realized when directing was everybody has. I mean, I remember a short film shoot a few years ago where my Steadicam operator was upset. And I was like, well, let me go and talk to the steady operator. But I had been focusing on the actors, or I had been focusing on makeup. And you realize, like, you've got to learn how to speak to each of these department heads in a way that makes sense for their craft.
Absolutely.
And communicate what you have in your head into their head, and then they're able to put it into the work. And it's no easy feat. Yeah.
No, yeah. So I mean, I'm a little bit more, you know, because I work with a crew, you know, I always give credit to my crew in photography, even because I always say that, that those images cannot come out without my crew, you know? So, but actors, that's a whole nother level.
That's true.
There it is.
Whole nother level. So that was my challenge was, but not just my challenge, but it was a big learning process for me. So
yeah,
that was great.
Awesome.
What are you doing now?
Hook and horns.
When did you go to UT? I went to UT.
What's that? When did I?
When did you go to UT? I also went to UT.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I went to UT. I graduated high school in '95, so I went 95 to 2000.
I went 99 to December '99 to 2003.
Bless you. Oh wow. You were probably in RTF though, weren't you? Yeah, I was in the theater department, and when I was there, RTF, radio, television, and film, and the theater department never coexisted. They did their thing and we did our thing. Now I think both worlds are colliding and collaborating and stuff like that. But when I was there, it was either you were in radio, television, and film, or you were in the theater department.
Cool.
Yeah. But if I were there, everyone would be making movies together.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, this is awesome. I love this.
This is great.
Very inspiring.
This is such a good idea to do something like this too, Adam, because you know we've done a couple festivals via Zoom already, but it was more moderator talking to the panelists. It wasn't a
real fireside chat.
It wasn't that we weren't able to like really talk to each other and ask these kind of questions about being filmmakers with each other. So, and you don't get to really do that when you're on stage at the Q&As after you talk, right? So it's not like you can talk to other films, like you can kind of give each other high fives, and then maybe see them at the parties. But even at those, then by that time, there's just like a gazillion people. So I really cool. Enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
What you should do tomorrow is make sure everyone has a shot or a beer, and then we'll start off the chat that way.
Exactly.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
You know, bring a beer and a shot, and let's have a conversation about making films.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. I'm going to be more prepared tomorrow after my meeting with the IT people. So thank you guys very, very much. Very, very much.
Yeah,
Andrew, Rob, Dan, Adam, thanks so much. Guys, hit us up anytime. We're here. We want to make movies. So
awesome.
We'll do.
Yeah, we'll do.
That was great to meet you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
All of you.
You too, guys.
Thank you.
Have
Adam,
a great
thanks
night.
for a great time, homie.
All right. You too. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
All righty.
Yeah.